We're back now on the theme engine, or the theme lab as I'm calling it here, which is ultimately trying to fix and improve the Avalonia theme system. There's been an absolute ton of legacy code in the old theme, and I don't think it's been redone for many years. So I started by taking the original exact copy and paste source code from Avalonia's theme engine, if you will, their original, called Fluent Theme, and I've pasted it all into this project and then done an absolute massive cleanup already, where we've deleted hundreds of files and references and duplication all over the place. We boiled that down to a basic theme, and what we're making is a token system, so it's more of a universal true theme, where we can have things like surface, which is, say, the front of a button or the front of a header or things like that. It's a surface that, say, you would write on as well. So instead of defining, say, a button color, we define a surface color. I've added accents for specific tints, and instead of it being an accent blue or green, it's a primary or a warning. So you get the idea. It's just a true theme engine coming to Avalonia. We've done it for sizes, fonts, and so on. And where we started was, I was working my way through these elements, through the buttons, and I was going to work through one at a time and kind of show you every single value in here being moved over to the theme engine, but that's going to take forever and it's not that useful, and I think we'd prefer to get a theme engine out and running, and then what we'll do is make a new theme on top of it after the prototype, and that way you can then learn every single element as we make a theme for it. I think that's a bit more enjoyable and useful. So instead, I'm going to give you an update of where I am. This has had, again, 30, 40 hours now, more work since you last saw the first video, and I've added quite a lot. So I went backwards and updated these buttons. You can see now we have a focus state, and that is part of the theme. It now understands focus values, so we can have this border as part of the theme. I've updated these styles, so now they smartly render things like the hover and the press color to blend in with the accent. So if we were to change the accent states, you can see in our pseudo accent class here, we then just bind it to specifically accent primary dark 2, where we could change this to from accent primary to accent, say, error dark brush 2, and then you could just change everywhere you saw primary to error, and you can get a different style, and you get the idea there. So we've added those extra features, and another major thing I've been adding, which, well, there's a few major things. First, you'll see we now have these rules. So in order to understand how to work with this theme engine and to remind myself as I'm going as well what we need to do, it's a token system, and this explains how we use it in general. And then we've got some rules and what we need to follow per control. So I won't bore you with what these are. You can read through this if you like, but the overall idea is simple things like, if we're inside a control template, only use template binding. That's because if you look at the previous videos, if you ever have a control where we go inside a control template here, and instead of template binding here, we set a specific value, that can never be overridden by applying a style to the original item. So in this case, a button, you could never then put a style here overriding whatever value was in that template. So instead, when we do that, you must use this style here to apply a style and then do the binding inside of here. So that's a thing I discovered years ago, and it all boils down to the order of priority. So I've added that to a kind of rule, made just a few rules. Well, I'll say a few, there's quite a few rules, but this is all to ensure that the theme is done correctly, and we can work through now, one at a time, all of these elements and correct them. I'm not going to bore you with doing that. I'm going to do all that off camera. But with the new rules, I went back to the button and I improved it already hugely. So there was tons to add to this that was missing. And you can see, for example, here, just a few edits today. We've gone through and found, like, we have the Courier New that's not in the template system. So we've then made a theme for the font family. We had these paddings, we had content alignment, content container alignment. We had missing comments anywhere because I like to comment main sections of the actual XAML. I then added the focus style. So you can see all this is in the public YouTube Git that you can look at if you need to. But I used this, what we thought was complete button, and went through and pulled absolutely everything out of this into the theme token system. So now we have nice documentation on what the rules of the theme are. We have the button all done. We have these nice overlay styles. We have focus events. And then another huge thing I've now done is once I got to the button spinner, which was actually probably the last video in this series, we had at the top, and I think I mentioned it up here, we had the stream geometry for the arrow. And I did mention we probably need to pull that out to something. Well, as part of this cleanup, I was pretty adamant we wanted to do that. And so I pulled the stream geometry out, moved it into the theme, then got thinking more that, right, this is just an up and down arrow. I'm thinking, right, for a down arrow, things like drop down boxes, expandable headers, all things like that would use arrows. So then I'm like, well, we're going to have that used in the theme definitely because it's used in more than one place. But then what about close buttons and menu items? And I thought, why don't we make an icon system? So you'll see in here now, we have our lovely new icons syntax. So in here now, we can just do colon, and look at that. We get that beautiful Angel 6 theme engine syntax highlighting. So these are now all glyphs that we can flick through. So we could put a close icon on, for example, and now we have our own icon library. At first, what I did was embed this icon into the theme. So it was in, well, it still is actually, in the default theme, I embedded the icon gallery. So the idea was we make another class called ThemeIconGallery, which then contains all the glyphs as nothing but strings. So these are the stream geometry as strings for all default icons. So you can think of this like a icon library. And then because I've made it as a class, we can just new it up on the theme. And if you want to change the icons in this theme, you just new up a different icon gallery here or in your theme. So it keeps it completely separate in one way. So we have an icon gallery, but also linked to the theme by simply applying the icons to the theme. And if you don't want to make icons, you have this nice default one. So that was a really nice solution. It took me a while to come to that conclusion and then make this syntax. But then what I was doing is in the, you obviously see the final result that's always nice, but in this icons, originally we had theme, and then we were going to icon close glyph. So we had it like this, where it was just typed in and it was part of the theme. But then once I've added, say, 10 or 12 icons, the theme was then starting to become littered with icons, and the icons don't just start with the name icon. I didn't want to duplicate the word icon. And you can see that from the names here. They don't start with icon, they are arrow, check mark, minus, etc. So all these were ending up in the same namespace as theme, and it was getting messy. So I updated the NuGet package for the Angel 6 theme engine here. So if you're following along, you want to make sure you update the Angel 6 theme engine to the latest, which is currently 1.2.6, which includes the ability to have the source generator here, which now has an icon glyph source generator, which is what ultimately generates as the new theme in a new namespace. So that's how it all works. Again, if you're interested in that source generator, the first video of this series in the theme engine explains how all this works. But that ultimately then gives us a clean separation in the XAML. So we can just do icons and get the icons. But also, the icons are technically linked to the theme because of how the source generator works. So if we were to change our default theme icons here to something new, without changing the XAML, this would now bind to the new active theme icon set. So all works really nice. So that's taken a good while to get right. But now we want to probably change that back to the correct icon. Now we have a little icon set baked in. I've added quite a lot more to this, but as I go, I'm going to flesh it all out. We probably end up with localization baked into here. I think we might as well just do the whole thing in one properly. So localization might come next, but I don't like localization too much. It makes things messy and almost nobody uses it, but I think we'll do that in a graceful way. And then obviously, because we have this icon pack, I've just gone ahead and made an icon gallery preview, which is nothing more than a resource dictionary with a plain design preview and absolutely nothing in it. So I'm just using this as a visual layout here that you can now see the icons. So we have a drop down, expand, collapse, and they are technically the same icons almost. So the up and down here for the chevrons are not quite as tall as the expand and collapse. And I actually probably need to fix the expand and collapse because they're both the same way. And the drop down again, even though they are the same as the chevrons, they can be different if we want to be. They're a universal icon set, so if you wanted to change the drop down icon, you can, because it's technically a different thing than a chevron that might be used for something else. But there's a nice little icon pack basically that you can freely edit. So I'm going to carry on with this. I'm going to work my way through all of these controls and try to get them all cleaned up and sorted and working. And I'll come back and check in again, probably in another week once I've worked through a ton more of these and let you know the progress. The goal is to try and get this all wrapped up and a full, you can see there's so many files to go through, get the full theme library done. And then once we have all of the items, we'll probably make a little demo UI app that shows all of them in one page. And then on top of that, we'll end up making a nice little editor so you can literally design a theme in the actual running Avalonia application, because it's just going to change nothing more than the values in this class. So we can literally use a running application to style and mess with the colors, the themes, the styles, the fonts, everything live while it's running. And then once we're happy, we could have a save button that then generates an actual theme CS file from that. So there's some big potential here, but a lot of work. So I just thought I'd give you an update on that so you know where it's at. But I didn't want to just sit here and drag this thing out by doing every single step on video and showing you every nitty-gritty phase. I think we just want to get this thing up and running, and then you can learn from it once it's working and play with it and understand it more than seeing it being created, because I don't really know where I'm taking this yet until I do it. I flesh out a lot of ideas. And for example, the icon pack has gone back and forward between about 4 different variations until I've settled on the one I've got. And that's just a waste of time, kind of showing you the process of coming up with the final solution. So that's it for this one, guys. I'll catch you in the next.